So, man, as a former athlete, I just had a couple questions, just trying to get to know you a little bit, the history that you went through of coming to Mississippi State. So, I saw, what was one of the main reasons why you chose Mississippi State?
So that's a good question, D. Obviously, you know this. Recruiting's not a science. You don't know how it's going to work. You kind of got a feeling where you, but you don't really know how it's
Yeah.
going to shake out until it actually happens. But for me, Mississippi State, I'm from Alabama, originally Huntsville, and I didn't really know a lot about Mississippi State. But what I did know, I played quarterback. And what I did know in my time, quarterback and the black quarterback was still a novelty in some sort. And I knew Mississippi State had a history of playing black quarterbacks. I actually physically saw, black quarterbacks being able to get their shot and play and lead their team. So from Derek Tate to Sleeper Robinson to Don Smith, Mississippi State has a long history of playing at that position.
Okay, that's real good. I would say, did you come in as a freshman since you was there for like 4 years, 3 to 4
Yeah,
years?
the game changed now. Now it's different. Now we didn't have the transfer portal, so I came in as a true freshman. Actually, I got on campus when I was at age 17, and
Yeah.
and and was there for 5 years.
Okay, okay. So, how was the transitioning like for life after football, college ball at that? Yeah.
Yeah, so that one was a blessing for me because when I had my time in Mississippi State, it's always good to hang with your fellas. Y'all doing things together, but would also take the initiative to really try to create new relationships. So I took time to meet people that were not football players, that were not basketball players, that were not athletes, period. And I took that time to try to create relationships, and for them to get to know Wayne. So that did me some good once I got into the real world, because again, your main business is your brand, your name. So if it means something, when somebody says Wayne Mackin, they know that stands on business and it's legit. And so for me, resetting my mindset, going back in, I tell people, athletes now, is that that you got to make sure that you got to put it in the box. So when I went to high school to college, I was all this, all that in high school, and to make that transition to the SEC, you gotta put that stuff you did in high school in the box for the time being. Don't forget about it, right?
Right.
But you got to put it in the box. You say, man, I'm resetting. I got to grind back from the bottom, raise myself back up to the top. That's how you get to where you are. And most athletes, they can't let that go. And then when they get the first adversity, excuse me, they go back, man, I was this, I was that, man, they ain't talking to me back, and then their whole mentality, they get distracted, and then all of a sudden, they're not making those plays, they're not making those tackles. So I did the same thing, transitioning from football to business. I put that all in the box. Most people that I work with on a day-to-day basis, they got to say, hey, I didn't know you played quarterback in Mississippi State. So I grind it, put it in the box, and I work my way back up.
See, I think this in today's time, back in your time, I know you want to seem too old, but in today's time, man, I feel like that's what a lot of athletes kind of forget about. See, now it's like since we have the transfer portal, a lot of kids when they hit adversity, they ready to jump into it. Like I feel like since me, I'm a kid that came here, I stuck with it. I've been through a couple of head coaches changes. Then I was the guy in high school, but coming in as a freshman, I realized like, man, these some dudes I gotta prepare myself for. I feel like what's some advice from that you can give me like to keep going, because I done been through. I could have easily left, but
Yeah.
it's just something I just stuck with it. People told me I could have stayed or could have left. I could have went somewhere else, but it's just something about Mississippi State. Like what
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
advice for me to keep going, man. Like some motivation.
Yeah, no doubt. So like it's a marathon, right? It's a
Most definitely.
marathon, and like I said, what I've realized for me, it builds character. It builds character because when you put in the work and then you're able, you go from what I believe is, you go from, I seen this delusional. If you're delusional and when you're not putting in the work ethic, and I should be the starter, I should be all SEC, I should be starting, but you ain't putting in the work, you're not committed. Then all of a sudden I call that delusional. But then, you get to the point where you keep working, you're going to believe, you get to that beliefs prospect, then you get your confidence. But the whole denominator on all of that is working, putting in the work. Exactly. And I think sometimes, sometimes they're valid, but sometimes I think we want that quick fix. We want that quick fix because guess what? You go somewhere else, you got other people competing too, and we know the game, they say one, they may say, come here, but when you get there, it ain't what you said. So I think the biggest thing is being steady, continue to put things in the box and work on yourself day to day and assess the situation as it is. And you got to be honest with yourself. A lot of a lot of young men these days, I realize they don't do self-study. Always, and sometimes to a fault, I did too much self-study on myself, right? And in other words, taking ownership, seeing what I can do, it's different between having confidence, but seeing what I can do to improve myself, to have these receipts for this coach and say, here it is. Because eye in the sky don't lie, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. No, you're most definitely right. Like I said, during your time here at State, do you feel like, I know because some guys kind of fight the battle of, you got guys who here just for sports or for the game, and you got guys who do it just to use their leeway for school. So, like, do you feel like your time here kind of like led your way into your afterlife of football?
Yeah, like I said, I have this thing where I tell young athletes now, like JD said, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. You got to be able, when you step on that court, field, or in the schoolroom, what's your brand? What can they stand behind D. Russell? And what I mean by that is, my goal was really to be a productive person. Whether I go to the NFL or whether I don't, my goal is to be productive and create relationships so I can create positive relationships in the future. Sometimes for enlightenment or for that young athlete that's thinking that I can fast forward and give you advice that's going to happen 10, 15 years from now, that those same cool cats that say, when you do the right thing in the long term, they wish they would have done or were able to capitalize on this opportunity to not only better themselves for education, but also create a power network of relationships where they're able to provide for their family sustainable.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, sir. I really appreciate it. So I'm saying that you had the opportunity to be QB1 in 1998 SEC West champs. Like, what was that feeling like?
Man, I'm gonna tell you, being QB1, at age 17, turning 18 with a bunch of grown men in a huddle, that seniors and juniors, it's a lot of responsibility. But what it boils down to is the culture of not letting your other guy down and showing up for the fight, And, I remember in 1990 when we came here, I look at the stadium now, when I came here, that other side of the stadium wasn't done. None of that was done. But by time when we won 98, won the championship, we started winning 10-0, 8-0, all that stuff. By the time my senior year, the cranes start popping up, So if you ain't growing where you're going, that's something that you got to go. You need to revisit and do some self-study. But to answer your question, I mean, it was a blessing. It was a blast to be able to think that a kid from the projects from Huntsville, Alabama, that had a stuttering problem that can go and play at the SEC level and be QB1 and be a Western Division champions and play in the SEC championship game. That's a blessing. And at the end of the day, people allowing you, your teammates being able to support you and give you that space to figure out who you are.
Exactly. That's good. It's just some strong advice on, like, like you say, you have guys that says NFL or is nothing else. How do I keep myself sane, knowing like, hey, if it don't work out, like what do I need to do to keep going?
The biggest thing I would tell you is that you got to continue to grow. And again, like I said, what's your brand? Yeah. So for me, my motivation was, I ain't gonna let nobody tell me what I can't do. I'm gonna be successful. I'm gonna be successful. And I'm not gonna put my head down and say, oh, well, because you got folks back at home, he ain't do this. And here, to be honest with you, you're not a failure if you don't go to the NFL. Look at me, And so you got to remember, everybody has chapters in their life, right? High school is my chapter. I closed that. I put it in the box. I went to the next chapter. College is that. If it don't happen, if it does, it's great. If it don't, oh well, put that chapter in. But you got to remember what relationships, what did you do to prepare yourself to go to the next chapter, and keep grinding. Keep grinding. And whatever it is, my goal was simple: to be a productive person in this world. So what my advice to you or to anybody else, you're not a failure. You are a success. You are a Black man playing in the SEC, got opportunity to quality education. You have name recognition. You have a lot of stuff going on you. The only thing you got to focus on is, how do I capitalize on that? I don't know where you capitalize on is keep your name clean as best you can. Put in the same work that you've been doing, because when you go to these employers and people, hey, look, they know you used to work in long hours, long hours and high schedule and stuff like that. Take those same tactics and those things that you learned in football and apply it to life, and that's what you do. And that's what I did. And it ain't gonna be a fast fix. You can't. Most people think that, oh, I'm gonna come out, making six figures out of college. That may not be the case. But you gotta start somewhere, and you gotta build yourself up. And I'm telling you, people know who you are. Once they see that you're a hustler, you're a worker, you're smart, people are willing to help you. But you gotta be able to show that you're able to help yourself before God provides what He has for you. So I'll stop there. Hope that helps.
Nah, like I said, I really appreciate the knowledge. It helped a lot, because I know me. I just know, because that's what I'm focused on. When I hit that brick wall when I was here in college, man, my second year here, I know how fast it can be taken away from me. I'm like, oh yeah, I need to lock in on my goals to see, like, after football, how they just want to go for me.
Yeah.
Like I said, I appreciate it, man. Appreciate your time, man. That's really all I have for you. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna take it and run with it.
Yeah, man, no problem. No problem. Hey, look, I'm gonna say one thing else too, D, is that most people don't, the high percentage of NFL athletes after year 5, once they retire, their net worth is lesser than somebody that's been working for for 5 years.
Yeah.
A lot of people lose their net worth. So what I just tell you, man, is the biggest thing. It don't matter how much money you make; it's how you're able to navigate and save money. Because you got a lot of people. If you make $1 million, but you spend $999,000, your net worth is what? $10,000, $1,000, right?
Yeah.
So my point being is that take this opportunity, man. I appreciate you talking to you, and like I said, continue to grind, man. Continue to grind.
Yes, sir. Really appreciate it.
All right, man.
Yes, sir.